Meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, May the 2nd. We have a few additions to our agenda. On the consent agenda at 6B6, we are going to add request approval to hire a seasonal employee for environmental services. You have that memo in your desk. At 6B7, we are going to add permission to hire an off-duty officer for Grace Bible Church. You have that memo. At 6C3, I'm asking you to approve the proclamation for Provider Appreciation Day, recognizing our child care providers. And then at 15A, if you will add reconsider bids awarded April 18th, 2023 for water treatment supplies. Is that everything?
Yes, ma'am, that's all I had.
All right. With those changes, could I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A quick mayor's report tonight. Of course, I cannot help but grin about our very successful 26th Double-Decker Arts Festival. They have estimated the crowd at about 80,000, so that's a little smaller than the year before, but it sure was plenty of people. And I just want to thank our dream team over at Visit Oxford for pulling off a better festival every single year. And Scott Carradine, who books our music, along with Amberlyn Lyles and her team of environmental service workers, OPD, OFD, Building and Grounds, and I think we had our emergency management director and others that volunteered. I saw them in different stations throughout the day. So thank you to all of you, and especially to our sponsors who make the festival possible, and all of our citizens for coming out to enjoy it. I was honored to attend the Keep Mississippi Beautiful annual awards luncheon last week, and again, bragging on Amberlyn Lyles and her team, along with Ashley Gantz, who is our recycling coordinator. They do such a great job with litter prevention and recycling, and they were presented the Keep Oxford Lafayette County Beautiful Circle of Excellence Award, and they certainly do an excellent job. The Oxford Master Gardeners won first place for the Keep Mississippi Beautiful, Keep Oxford Lafayette County Beautiful, Great American Cleanup, and somehow I snowed them enough to give me Mayor of the Year. So next, I will ask you to authorize the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on April 18th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ask you to consider the consent agenda with the 3 additions.
Motion to consider the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Fortner. Request permission to apply for a Stop the Bleeding grant in the amount of $100,000 for equipment.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this do we have a match of any?
No match for
Amount
this
here?
one. We put in for one a couple weeks ago when they opened the grant portal. They added this one on there, so we want to apply for this one
Great,
as well.
wonderful. Okay, thank you. Mr. Freeman, request permission to advertise for RFPs for beverage service and sales at M-Trade Park.
So moved.
Second.
All right, anything you need to tell us? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Neely, request permission to advertise for the civil portion of the Old Taylor Road Substation Addition Project.
Okay, good evening. So we'll talk about this.
Thought you were
one,
gonna
huh?
get away.
I was just
He's
preparing
like-
myself. I didn't want to talk too quick.
Slow walk up here.
Yeah, right. Got to up here too fast. Okay, so if you recall, we proposed in our fiscal year 23 budget a substation addition project to add voltage regulators to all of our 8 circuits in the Old Taylor Road substation to assist with, I guess, the reliability as well as the quality of those electric feeds out of that substation. The first part of that project that has to be done is to shift the driveway inside the substation that'll allow room for the voltage regulators to be installed under a second project. So we anticipate this first part will be around $350,000 to do some civil work to shift and add dirt inside the fenced substation area. TVA is currently reviewing the plan, but they've assured us that we shouldn't have any trouble with it. So we'd like to get that done first by a civil contractor, and then have an electric contractor come in and do the voltage regulator addition.
All right.
Any
Any
questions?
questions or?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the amended TVA electric vehicle fast charger program agreement.
Thank you. So this item, if you recall back in February of 2002, you approved Oxford Utilities to apply for a TVA grant to receive 75% of the cost of an EV fast charger, electric vehicle fast charger. We plan to install that fast charger in the downtown parking garage. There has been an extended grant process waiting on MDEQ to finally approve our project. They've done that about a month ago. I've been back and forth with TVA discussing and MDEQ about purchasing the ChargePoint fast chargers to make this happen. There's about a year lead time, and then the price has gone up significantly on those fast chargers. I've been creative with this, and I asked TVA, they have a stockpile of these, if they will modify their agreement to give us the fast chargers, which is about $150,000 worth of equipment to cover their cost of the grant. Instead of us having to go through the bid process and all that, we would just receive the equipment. That would be their portion of the grant, and then we could install them almost immediately as soon as we could prepare
Great.
the site and do the other electrical installation. And so this is just an amended grant that details those two chargers we'll receive, and then we'll get those from TVA and start the project.
Good deal.
Motion made, Rob. Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Rob. All right, a second reading and public hearing for proposed ordinance to modify Chapter 22, Buildings, Article 5, Housing, Division 3, Affordable Housing. Ben?
Yeah, good evening. Proposed modifications to the affordable housing incentive policy that we have in place as recommended by the Affordable Housing Commission, and no changes have been made to this ordinance, and we have not received any comment from anyone.
All right, I think everybody was excited to hear it. At the first reading, is there anyone here who would like to speak publicly about this ordinance change? Awesome. And I don't see any reason not to vote this evening.
I move
on
we
this.
approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
And thank you again to our Affordable Workforce Housing Commission for all the work that you do, Janice, specifically on these ordinance reviews and changes, and I just appreciate it so very much. All right, request permission to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with the Lafayette County Circuit Clerk and Lafayette County Election Commission for separate school and municipal election services.
Yes. This is kind of second step in our, after we abolished our election commission and going with the county's election commission, since they are more trained and more well-versed on the election process. We did have one concern from a citizen asking us to not do paper ballot books anymore, and to use the electronic ballot books that the county uses. And I talked to Jeff, our circuit clerk, and he said, and I quote, "I'm cheap. I'm going to save y'all every drop of money that I can. The data that is used for those electronic poll books costs a lot." And he said, if y'all were to have one ward election, he said it doesn't make sense to spend that money for the data. We just do paper poll books. So he said it's going to be kind of a case-on-case basis. He'd save us as much money as he could. But this is the agreement where he agrees to provide those services for us, and he'll get us a price once an election comes up.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to approve a list of budget amendments and reallocations for FY 2023. Ashley?
Yes, this is, again, if you look through these, most of these are a net zero to the account or the fund. Kind of housekeeping. I'm trying to get these caught up before we start budget.
Move we approve.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Any opposed? First reading of a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-79 of Division 3, Article 2, adding subsection 279A1, voting ward descriptions.
So we've
Mark
now,
Levy.
held a public hearing on the voting ward map options, and that they're the two options you remember, A and B, and y'all have seen those, and we've discussed them publicly in two previous meetings. And at the last meeting, the board, y'all decided to move ahead with option B. So prior to 2008, the Code of Ordinances contained sections which establish the voting wards by legal description. And when the code was recodified after 2018, those descriptions were removed, and the ordinance referred to the ward boundary as the map that was on file at the city clerk's office. So this current ordinance in front of you would update the current code with the legal descriptions based on the map option B and the population numbers, and that's the way we did it prior to 2008. And it also includes the reference to the voting map being on file at the city clerk's office. So this is the first reading, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I don't don't have any. If there are no changes from the last meeting, does anyone else? All right, so that's a first reading. So at our next meeting, we will have a public hearing regarding those voting wards. All right. Brianna, request permission to advertise for the Thacker Road LPA sidewalk project.
So moved.
Anything that you need to tell us?
We are just excited to have this project moving. We have a slight setback in that yesterday MDOT updated their policy, so we have to provide a cost estimate before they will grant the advertising authority, but Jeff Williams is gonna have that in tomorrow. So we do anticipate still staying on, it'll cost us a couple of weeks, I think, but we will be advertising and moving forward very soon.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, at 15A, we added reconsider bids awarded April 18th for water treatment supplies.
I think we're on
Yes.
14. Are we?
Pardon me?
Are we on 14?
So we just did 14. Request permission to advertise for bids. South Lamar
That was
Park.
15. Oh, on my printed paper, it's 15. So I added it to 15A. Yep, you're right, it's 13 on this one. I don't know what's different. Okay, well,
She's at 15 too.
you scared of mine?
Is-
No.
Yeah, she wrong.
My paper's
I'm
different
showing
than
we're
the.
at- We're at
Hey,
South
guys,
Lamar Box.
still the same,
Deal?
item, just our numbers are different.
Okay.
All right, and so that is reconsider bids awarded April 18th for water treatment supplies.
Yes,
So what
we,
we got?
at the previous meeting, the board approved the bids that we received for our our biannual and quarterly material bids. However, Brentag was awarded the bid as they were the lowest bid. They were allotted the bid for our Aquamag, which is a treatment for anti-corrosion for our water treatment process. They are not able to provide it to us the way that we need. We have to have it, they have to deliver it and pump it into our storage containers for us. And so Brentag has notified us they're not able to do that. So because they're not able to supply the material in the way that we have to have it, we are asking the board to reject their bid and to award the bid to the next lowest bidder, which is Wofford Water Supply, who has been providing our, this chemical to us. So we're just asking to reject that bid from Brentag and award to Wofford instead. And the bid price is $19.85 a gallon, so.
Okay, do you have a motion?
Move we approve.
And a second, all in favor? Any opposed? On your agenda online, call to order is 1, and then adopt the agenda goes to
just
letter A and
saw
whatever, so they're the same, it's just numbered different.
Yep, I just corrected.
All right, request permission to advertise for bids for the South Lamar Box Culvert Hazard Mitigation Project.
Yes, we are very excited to be advertising for this project.
Amen.
Yes, so,
Janice should have stayed.
I know.
yes,
Text Janice and tell her we did it.
yes.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to advertise for bids for the Goose Creek Pipelining Project.
Yes. Less exciting project to the general public, but exciting to engineering. We want to advertise to line our pipes in the Goose Creek subdivision. They have holes, deterioration, and we can go in there and line that instead of having to replace the entire line of pipe and dig the streets up. So we're excited to do this relatively new method to the city and get this project completed.
I'm excited to say so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consider a contract with IRO for professional services related to the right-of-way on Gator Road.
Yes, we.
Uh-oh, Preston.
They got sidewalks already over there.
The board had approved the construction project to widen Gator Road. That was an annexed road that we annexed from the county and very, very narrow, 2 very sharp turns in it. And so the board has previously approved the construction to widen it. We've got the construction plans complete, and now we need to acquire some right-of-way so that we can make those improvements that we need to make, and we would like to hire IRO to complete that process for us.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Rihanna. Okay, Bart, consider the Oxford University Fire Protection Agreement.
So after our last meeting, went back to the university and had several conversations about how they could not approve an open-ended amount for the fire truck. You'll remember the fire truck was a sticking point, an open-ended amount for the fire truck with a fire protection agreement. So what we came back with was some language, and you'll see in the memo provided and in the agreement, the language, we did put a cap on it of 875, but that cap, it goes on to say that we had the option, if the bids for the fire truck came in more, we could come back to them. If they don't agree to the extra amount, then we can immediately get out of the agreement. So I think that's the best we can do with the rules they have to follow. It protects us, so I recommend we approve it.
If you recommend it, I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Consider a resolution and interlocal agreement authorizing a contribution of 2% food and beverage funds. Bart?
So the original legislation that established a 2% food and beverage tax had provisions in it that the city issued a bond to pay for expansion or addition of the baseball stadium. Sometime in the past, the university, after those bonds were matured and retired, our payment retired, the university came back and asked the city to continue contributing $200,000 a year for improvements or expansions of the stadium. I know we did that in 2008, and I'm not sure if it was a version before that or not. Well, they have come back, the current agreement expired, just January was our last payment under the current agreement. They want us to re-up it. The draft in front of you is almost identical to what was done in 2008. There's some very slight modifications. The amount, the important part, is still the same, and it's just for your discussion and consideration.
All right. Input, discussion?
So we don't have an actual, this is what we're doing with it. There's not an actual project.
There's not an actual project. The agreement states that it will be for the construction and expansion, I think, under.
For the maintenance, repair, and or renovation of
Yeah.
the university's baseball stadium.
But we've been doing it since 2008?
I know
Before
we
that,
No.
since about
19
87.
1986.
No, but I mean, this agreement's been since,
this.
1986.
Yeah, we've been doing it since I've been here.
I think this is the third version of this agreement. I know because I was sitting in here when they came in 2008 and asked us to redo it. But I think this is the third version. I think the first bonds were 15-year bonds or 10-year bonds, and then they came back and asked us to do it. And then I know in 2008 we did it, and I know this is the second time since.
But,
Mark, what I think happened is it's an 87 local private statute.
that's how we got the tourism.
Yeah, I don't think we started floating that bond until maybe 90 or 91.
Could be true.
And so then 15 years on that bond was till about 06 or 07. We did a resolution in 07 to give them this, to continue payment because they were gonna do these boxes and expand and repair and work on the field and signs and all that. And we resolved to do it in 07. It got some, weirdly, it took 2 years to get the interlocal and AG approval. It went back and forth with changing counsel at the university. It finally goes down to AG. AG approved exactly this agreement, knowing that there was no longer any bond in place, but that this was a tourism-related purpose that the city was paying for with tourism-related funds. So this exact resolution agreement was approved probably in 09, April 08 or 09.
And that was the sort of formation of the,
Continue to pay after there is no
well,
bond.
the 2% came about because of the stadium.
Right,
Correct. Yeah,
That's
we
when
have
we
to
asked.
send tax because of this.
because of
local
the
private
same.
statute.
I remember that. I was working at the gym at the time, and Mike Selling was not happy about it. It is, who came to us with this?
With the request, well, I'll let the mayor take that, but it came from athletics.
Keith Carter.
The 2% or the resolution or the law, I guess, what was passed, it doesn't end, right? No sunset clause. Meaning
Correct.
it doesn't end just because the bonds are paid off. It continues. All right.
And, you know, to give you more explanation, it's really a trading of funds is what we end up with for a lot of it. I mean, if you know, I mean, the university's a contributor to the Double Decker Festival. They also contribute about $100,000, right at exactly $100,000 a year to our police protection, our police department for game day, just for game day. I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about things from athletics. So it's, that's I don't know if it's.
They do generate many events that contribute to this 2% food and beverage tax.
I don't have a problem with, I mean, if we've been paying them 200,000 for umpteen years, and how much has 2% gone up, and that, I don't wanna delve into that too much, but
How long
I don't
does
have
this
a problem with
agreement
it
go
at all.
This is for 15 years.
This is for 15?
15
Yep.
years, yes, sir.
But
That's
just like
how long the
anything,
last one
it
was?
changes
Yes,
boards,
sir.
right? I mean, your next board can.
Arguably, I don't know
15.
the impact of the interlocal having been approved by the Attorney General for the 15-year period, but yeah, that's, and I think the university knows that. They understand that it's an agreement, but it's subject to the same restrictions on agreements that they're all.
Gonna need a motion or lack of
I'll make
to
a
move
motion to
forward.
approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Consider an intent resolution determining the necessity for and invoking the authority granted to municipalities with respect to tax increment financing as amended and restated May 2023. Bart?
So a few weeks ago, we came to you with a proposal from Colonnade Crossing to increase their TIF to allow them to install a water line along the county road that's just, or it's actually City Street now, that's just west and goes to their north boundary. This is the second piece of that. This resolution sets the public hearing for the next meeting. So tonight, you're just voting to set that public hearing, and then we'll be back on May the 16th for the public hearing.
So moved.
Second, I was trying to figure, okay, so we are basically just setting a
We're just
meeting.
setting the,
Absolutely, yeah.
all right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll now ask the board to consider an executive session.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The board's now considering an executive.